Hello, my name is Marion Drew. I'm Vice Chair of Exmouth in Bloom. I moved to Exmouth in 2011 to retire. My husband is actually from Exmouth, and therefore that's why we came down here to retire. He said it was beautiful, and it is, and I love it. I think I know Exmouth pretty well, and having been involved with Exmouth in Bloom this length of time, since 2011, I've just grown to love this place.
Any big challenge tends to bring people together. What did you see in Exmouth community during and after the COVID pandemic?
Well, strangely, Exmouth in Bloom flourished during COVID because we were allowed to exercise for an hour outside, and we could also socially distance. And so we had more than 20 people signed up with Exmouth in Bloom to help us to garden, and we were able to maintain all the beautiful flowers and the areas that we look after during that time. So it was a bonus for us in some respects. We also found ways to fundraise during that time, but we had actually made provision to be able to run Exmouth in Bloom for a year without having to run a fundraise. So we took precautions that way.
How do you feel about climate change? What concerns you about the issue, and what gives you hope?
I do believe that there is a climate change, and we especially as gardeners have noticed this, that we have long spells of drought, and we have vicious rainstorms, and things are just a little bit upside down. We notice too that the flowers are flowering at seasons that you're not expecting them to flower. So it's quite a difficult thing to comprehend, really. And we just see it from, as I say, from the flowers' point of view. I think particularly in Exmouth, there is a real drive to be aware of climate change, and to be looking at the environment a lot closer. And I really believe that Exmouth particularly is very environmentally aware.
Do you think the way our society is, and I'm talking about capitalism and globalism, do you think the way society is helps or hinders in this issue?
I think society is very split on this. There are a lot of people who are working really hard to address climate change, and I think our government is not doing too badly, really, but it's not a whole world. It doesn't seem to be a whole world issue that everybody is working together to solve this problem. I don't think we're ever going to stop climate change, but it might be that we can mitigate certain things in the climate change.
From the government or big companies and authorities, what would you like to see from them in this respect?
I think they've got to think very carefully about emissions, and I think that big companies we should be trying to harness, or they should be trying to harness power from the sun, solar energy, and not rely on fuel so much, and not rely on even electricity being generated by by coal, and it's a really difficult one, and it's something that I'm not a specialist in at all. But I think that every company could be thinking more about being more careful to address these issues.
When people discuss about this issue of climate change, they tend to say, oh, it doesn't matter what big difference will my personal actions do. Why do you think it matters, or does it matter what we do personally in limiting the causes of climate change?
I think the fact that we are really quite good in this area to recycle things. I think East Devon has something like a 62% recycling target, and they seem to hit that. Hopefully it'll be more eventually. But I think every little counts, and I think if everybody did think about the way they behave and recycled, and then we'd be in a much better place than we are now.
Do you know of any local initiatives or projects that can help the residents in minimizing the effects of climate change?
I know that Exmouth Town Council has provided a beautiful structure that is for plastic waste. It's taking people a little while to tune in to it having to be only plastic that goes in there, and unfortunately at the moment people are still putting in other rubbish besides plastic. But that's the Samudra, which is on the seafront, a beautiful dragon. And I know that Exmouth in Bloom generate a lot of gardening waste, green waste, and Exmouth East Devon District Council will collect that for us, and that goes to Greendale and is composted, and then East Devon can go and get the compost back, and they use it on manor gardens and other gardens as well. So that's a really good scheme.
Tell us a bit about Exmouth in Bloom.
Well, here we are in a beautiful sensory garden. This is something that Exmouth in Bloom created for the benefit of the community, and it's to bring mental well-being as well to everybody. We have a beautiful mural here, and we have gorgeous flowers, and there is something in here of interest in all times of the year, no matter what. But in Exmouth, Exmouth in Bloom has developed these beautiful floral displays, and over the years we've had to think really hard about putting drought resistant plants in, and we've had to put in peat free soil. We've made a lot of our planters, in fact all of our planters, have got water reservoirs in the bottom, so that they don't have to be watered so often, and also the plants benefit because there's always a source of water deep down in the soil with these reservoirs. We work really closely with a lot of groups in the area, plastic free particularly are very close to us as far as environment issues are concerned. But when we enter Britain in Bloom, we have certain criteria we have to address. One is horticulture, obviously, the flowers, and are they in a suitable position for the situation they're in. For example, on the seafront, we have to have a different sort of plant than we have in the middle of town, for example. We also have to address the environment, and we have to show that we're thinking about the environment all the time. And in that respect, we have wildflower borders. We've built hedges that are for bugs with just branches that have fallen down. So we have bug hedges, and we have bat boxes, and we have bird boxes. So we're constantly thinking about how can we help the environment, how can we help these pollinators, how can we feed them all year round. And we don't only use wildflowers, we use all sorts. We've got salvias here that's buzzing. We've got Rebecca over there, and lots sedums, and everything is just buzzing with bees wherever we are in the town. It's really beautiful. And then the third thing we have to do is show that we work with the community. This is for Britain in Bloom, and we're constantly trying to educate people in the benefits of looking after the environment, and looking after our gardens and streets, and just making things good for nature, really. I have to say that mental well-being is also an issue, although that's probably not what your film is about, the mental well-being of people. And we have lots and lots of people who come up to us and say that they come to Exmouth and their spirits are lifted by the colour and the flowers and the welcome that gives them. We had a chap who was during COVID was a first responder. He still is a first responder, and he said that Exmouth was the only town he would come to as a first responder, and that there would be flowers, there would be colour. And he said in a time that it was very depressing for lots and lots of people, including himself, he said it really lifted his spirits to see all the flowers around and the beautiful colour, and it just made him feel better, even though it was a really bad time for him. So we do have people who come and work with us who have not exactly mental issues, but maybe need friendship and need fresh air and need to just have an uplift in their day. And so I would say, if you'd like to come and join Exmouth in Bloom, you'd have a very warm welcome, and we have a lot of fun, and we laugh a lot, and we're out here in not all weathers, but most weathers. We don't work in really bad weather, but in most weathers we're out here enjoying the fresh air and the sunshine, a lot of sunshine, and just watching things grow and develop. In this particular garden, there's quite a lot of sensory things. Obviously, it's a sensory garden, but the leaves, often some of the leaves will smell if you rub them in your fingers, and there's lavender at different times of the year, and there's herbs, and there's some vegetables, there's tomatoes, and you can pick them and use them if you wish to. There's strawberries, little strawberries, all sorts of things here.
What would your personal message or appeal would be to Exmouth community about climate change?
I think listen to people who are at the coalface of trying to deal with climate change, and listen to what they say, and try your very best to to do some of the things that you think you're able to do, that they recommend. So I think if everybody just tried to do that little bit to not use plastic so much, not to use single-use plastic, to plant maybe more flowers instead of tarmacking their drives over, just to be more considerate, not to drop litter. I think just appreciating what's around us a lot more. But that's all really I can say. That I'm just trying my best. I'm just trying my best, and I think everybody could do probably the same as me. I'm just an ordinary person. I think it's quite sad that it seems to me that children do get lessons in environment at school, and yet I've witnessed a lot of young people who don't seem to follow the rules. Well, not that they're rules, but they don't seem to. They're very, very casual about dropping litter. And I've approached some of them and said, you know what, you're just going to be knee deep in litter if all of you keep doing this. But I can only do my bit. But lots of bits together. It's like they say, it's like an elephant. And how do you eat an elephant? Not that I'd want to. But how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. And it may take a long time, it probably will. But I think generally here in Exmouth, we are ahead. I think we're ahead of a lot of towns. And I'm very proud that I live here, and I'm very proud of Exmouth.